Okay, I want to make this video just because I've had a hard time finding anything about correct methods of doing the adjustment on these headlights. So these are the Lightening Dark headlights, LED headlights. I'm using them specifically on my 2002 Chevy Silverado. I first saw these used on a channel called TWA Motorsports. Liked what I saw, so I went ahead and ordered them. They're about the same cost on Amazon as a set of Sylvania headlights, the halogen bulb, this style. So I figured for the same price, I might as well give them a try. I'm going to link the description the channel for TWA Motorsports where I first saw these, just because I kind of like his videos. And also I'm going to link another video in the description that talks about the types of LEDs in particular. You can see this one has a blade style assembly here with LEDs on both sides, and the purpose of that is to mimic the filament inside of the halogen bulb. You can kind of see how that lines up there. And then that other video I'm going to link, it kind of talks about how it's important that you have the LED in the same amount of space, in the same point in space inside your headlight assembly, so you get the right and correct output of light. Because inside of your headlight, you have all these little reflective mirrors and things like that that focus the light to a specific point in the road. And if you've ever been blinded by somebody with aftermarket LED headlights, it's usually probably one of two things or a combination of two. One, they're using the style of LED bulb where it's surrounded on 360 degrees by little LEDs. Therefore, the mirrors aren't going to focus it correctly. And then also, like with me, I just ordered these new headlight assemblies, and these do not come pre-adjusted. So you're going to have to do your adjustments on your headlights. So you're going to have to pull it up to a wall, do your measurements, and then properly adjust your headlights so you're not blinding everybody on the freaking road. So the reason I'm making this video is these instructions, of course, they're translated from Chinese. I got these on Amazon for about $50 for the pair. And you can kind of see some of the wording on them, not the best. But the problem is this. If you don't adjust these headlights correctly, then you're not going to have the hot spot of your light in the proper place, or you're just going to have a scattered amount of light, and you're not going to be able to see as well at nighttime as you would if you had it properly adjusted. So I have this one already taken apart. I want to see if I can show you this with the bulb installed correctly. You put it in, you twist it, and it locks. With it installed correctly, you can see how it's kind of sitting at an angle, okay, in relation to the headlight assembly, right? So instead of it being up and down like it's supposed to be up and down where the blade is vertical, and then your LED lights are at the 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock positions, okay? And that's also, how they advise you to install them on the manual. This is the problem with these headlights that I've ran into. And behind this little gasket here, there is a set screw. Inside the aluminum body of the headlight, there is a small hole where that set screw goes into that locks this plastic collar in place. Now, in here it says to adjust the beam pattern, you simply twist this collar and adjust the beam. Well, the problem is this: you can't do that. When you pull this screw out, in fact, I'm going to pause the video and take this off and show you. But when you take this screw off, there's only one hole in the aluminum body, and there's only one hole in this plastic collar that moves. So the problem is there is no adjustability on here. The screw it comes with is extremely tiny. I haven't had a chance to use these at night yet. The light output on them is awesome. They look great. I just want to make sure that I have the best case scenario possible, having the headlight installed in the correct orientation like this instead of like this, like it is right now. So my solution to this, I'm thinking, is I'm going to have to take, and I know this is crude, I'm doing this with my phone, I'm just doing a quick video on this, but what I'm thinking about doing is figuring out the correct orientation of where this collar needs to be at in relation to the housing of the headlight, and then I'm going to drill a new hole for that set screw, and then I'm going to use some Loctite, put that set screw back in there, and then reinstall the headlight. As long as I don't screw this collar up, I should be good. I've seen another guy, I can't remember the channel, so I apologize, I'm not going to be able to link him in this. But, and even in his video, he said he found collars online for these headlights, but he didn't even know how he found them. He just kind of entered in some kind of random search into Google and found it. Anyhow, so give me a second. I'm going to take this apart real quick and kind of show you what I was looking at when I took it apart, trying to figure out how to do the adjustment. Okay, so this is what we're looking at. I took the little rubber O-ring, which isn't of best quality in my opinion, off of this, and then that reveals the location of the set screw. Okay, so there's the hole in the collar for the set screw. Okay, this is the hole in the body where that set screw screws into, and you can even see, like, when I took the set screw out, it's like it was super glued or something in there, but you can actually see some residue on there, like this thing was actually glued on there. So I had to break that off too, which I thought was going to break this collar. And then you can see how tiny this little tiny screw is. So that's why I'm going to use the thread locker, because I don't want to risk stripping this out and over tightening it. So I'm just going to use this little screwdriver and a little bit of Loctite, which I'm going to use the blue thread locker, and just ever so slightly snug it on there, let the thread locker do its job, and hopefully this will work out properly. To make things easier, you can see I have the bracket on this headlight, which I haven't taken off yet, and that bracket's there for adjustment for the up and down and left and right adjustments for the headlight assembly on my 2002 Chevy Silverado. So this is where we're at. When you install the headlight, it locks into this collar. Okay, I'm going to use this halogen bulb as an example. You put it in there, and now it's important to note that there's 3 tabs on here. 2 are the same size, 1 is not. Okay, so I thought, okay, maybe I'm just putting this in the wrong tab. I just need to put it in a different orientation and then lock it in. That's not the case. So it goes in one way, you twist it to it stops, and that's where it locks in at. Now you can see this is the angle where it's at, but this is a halogen bulb. It's got a filament that's visible 360 degrees in one point. Okay, so so I have the collar off of this one obviously, but when I put this in here and lock it in, you can see this wire is also in the orientation of the housing, up and down. When I install this, it's in the same orientation as that halogen was. Okay, it's at an angle. So instead of my bulb being straight up and down like this, it's sitting at like a 2 o'clock to 8 o'clock position instead of a 3 to 9 o'clock position. Again, being redundant here, why that's important is because of the way the headlight is designed. There's reflectors on the side that focus the beam to a specific point in the road. Now, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I know everything about headlights and how they work or anything like that. I have a basic understanding based on some of the videos that I've watched and just working on cars myself over the years. But I do know that this light bulb needs to be oriented up and down, just like so, and not at an angle, so that you get the best light output possible. Okay, so what I thought I could do is just take these 3 screws off and then turn this ring and adjust it that way. However, none of these holes line up correctly, so that's where I came up with the idea that I'm going to just drill a new hole for the set screw in the correct angle or the correct orientation, and then reinstall it like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the headlight back in there, mark it with the paint pen, figure out where it needs to be at, make my marks, and then drill my hole, and then in theory this should all line up and do fine. Okay, I'm going to show you what I've done here. So I put the collar back on the light, installed it, okay, and you can see that wire sticks straight out to about a I'd say that's about a 4 o'clock position, okay. So this thing is completely in the wrong orientation, and what I did, if you can see down in there, I marked the position on the collar for the headlight and on the headlight assembly itself there. Then what I'm going to do is remove that set screw, orient the headlight up and down matching to here, and then I'm going to drill that hole for the set screw so that I can just adjust it that way. And that's the only way I can find to adjust this. There's no other means of adjustment, nothing on this twist, pivots, turns, pulls out, or anything like that. This is all one solid aluminum body. It does have a fan in there for cooling, and yeah, this is the only way I can think to adjust this to get the correct beam pattern. So I'm going to pull this collar off and align that dot with the top of this so that when I install it, it's going to be in the correct orientation. Okay, so you can see I marked the hole there with a Sharpie, and then so there's where the hole is for the set screw. That mark there, the gray mark on the collar, is where the 12 o'clock position should be for the headlight on the headlight assembly. So you can see all I need to do is rotate the collar. Sorry, I'm doing this one-handed here. I'm going to rotate the collar where that mark is at the 12 o'clock position, like so, and then where that mark is on the aluminum housing, that's where I'm going to drill the hole for the set screw into the plastic collar. Okay, so success. What I did is I just stepped up in size on drill bits in order to, I mean, it's a better, you can always take out more, you can never add more back. So what I did is I drilled the smallest hole possible that would allow the screw to fit through there, and then I had to create that countersink in there so that the screw would actually go through the collar, which again, this is a extremely tiny screw. Okay, I mean, this thing is absolutely small. Okay, so I got it. It's not the prettiest job ever, but it will do the job. The screw goes through, so all I got to do now is add a little bit of thread lock to there and reinstall it, and then we'll see how it looks. Okay, so we got the light in there, and it was perfect. Right on the money. You can see my dot lined up with my dot that I had earlier, and then when we look inside the assembly, you can, it's kind of hard to tell with all these ridges and lines in here, if I can get this to focus, but the headlight is in there in the correct 3 and 9 o'clock position. So it looks like this was a success. I'm going to do this to the other one and get these installed, and then I'll show you what they look like when they're turned on inside the truck. It is daylight out. It's about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So, you know, it is what it is, but I'm really pleased with the results of that. Now, I'm going to say this, kind of a disclaimer. You do this modification at your own risk. I do not assume any liability for anything if this leaks water or whatever. I did get the O-ring back in there. Okay. I used some thread locker. I just put a little thread locker down on this foam board I'm using and used a toothpick to apply it to the screw and inserted the screw back in there. This feels like it's sealing well. This little O-ring is sealing well against the housing. But again, this is at your own risk. You know, you assume all liability when you modify stuff. So I'm just showing you my workaround for this, saying that it's adjustable, but it's not. So I don't want to send this back and have to go through all that process. I'd rather just modify it and get it to work. And it looks like this is going to be perfect. So let me get all this done on the other headlight, get everything reinstalled, and then we'll take a look at it. Okay, so we got the lights reinstalled, and I'm pretty pleased. They are, if you can see in there too, there's a piece of metal in there. Let me get this to focus. There's a ring, a metal ring inside the headlight assembly. Okay, and then there's cutouts on the side too. So that's another thing. It's solid on the top and the bottom, down here and up here at the top. And I know it's really hard to see in there, but you can kind of see the little cutouts in that metal ring where the LEDs, where the LED headlight is. So that's another reason why it's important for it to be in that orientation, because it's just not going to get the light to the reflectors inside the headlight. Now on, I believe it was this one here on the, I'm sorry, I'm out of focus, and on this one here, I didn't get it 100% perfect. It is slightly tilted, just ever so slightly, but it is still 100% better than it was. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn them on. They do have fans in there. You can hear them running. They're not loud or anything like that. But with these new headlight assemblies that I got, which I just Google searched and I got both. It came in all together, one whole package. Headlight and the blinker assembly, which has the day running lights and the side marker lamps. It was like $85 for the whole set. And then it actually had the bulbs in the headlight assembly for the high beam and the low beam. I just purchased the Lightening Dark low beam for now. If these last and do well, I might upgrade the high beams to the Lightening Dark as well. Or maybe another manufacturer, just because I had to modify these. So let me come over here and turn on the headlights real quick. All right, and you see that one, they're both burning. I don't know if you can really tell in the video here. Let me turn the exposure down here. So they are both on, and I can already tell that they look a lot brighter than they did before I did the adjustment. So I'm gonna put I don't know if you can hear the fan running. The fans are running back there. But yeah, they're working really good. I also did upgrade on the day running lights. I put some Sylvania LED bulbs in there. Just for the blinkers, you have to add in a kind of a resistor, an LED resistor, for the blinker to work properly. So I just left that as the incandescent bulb. The side marker lamps though, I did use the LED, an amber LED light in there for that. But man, I can tell a huge difference just adjusting those headlights in there, in that housing. It was well worth the risk of drilling into those little collars. So again, if you decide to modify yours, at your own risk, man. It's anytime you modify something, it's always risky. So we're gonna see how they do. I still gotta do the adjustments up and down and left and right to make sure that I'm not blinding everybody on the road. But if you want to see, let me pause the video real quick. I gotta put the car in either neutral or drive, and I can show you the day running lights as well. Yep, so there's the day running lights. They work really well. They're really bright. I didn't have any issues with those. But anyway, I'll link in the description for TWA Motorsports, and then that other channel, I can't remember the name of it right now, he explains everything about LED headlights, which ones to use, which ones not to use. He even just describes like how the reflectors work and everything in there. And so that's what prompted me to adjust the headlights, the collars, I should say, on the headlights there. So anyway, I hope this helps you guys out. I was a little disappointed I had to modify these headlights just to get them to work right. And but that's how it is when you get some of these Chinese companies that they're not the best, but it is what it is. They look nice, so we'll see.